Shalom, shalom, Yasharala. I hope all is well. Kwam Yasharal. It's time to Kwam. Jeremiah chapter 14. I hope you have your ears turned on and your eyes open. If you are capable of doing so. Chapter 14 verse 1. The word of Yahuwah that came to Jeremiah concerning the matter of droughts. Concerning the matter of droughts. Yehuda has mourned, and her gates have languished. They have mourned on the ground, and the cry of Yerushalayim has gone up. And their nobles have sent their little ones for water. They went to the cisterns and found no water. They returned with their vessels empty. They were put to shame and blushed and covered their heads. Why? Because the ground became cracked, for there has been no rain in the land. The plowmen were put to shame. They covered their heads. Even the deer gave birth in the field, but left. Why? Because there was no grass. What's this all mean? What's it talking about here? It's going to tell you right here in verse 6. And wild donkeys stood in the bare heights. They sniffed at the wind like jackals. Their eyes have failed because there was no grass. Now, to the layman, if he's even listening and paying attention to what the word says, which is a description of the majority that this is talking about here, would donkeys' eyes fail them because there was no grass to eat? If you've been paying attention, if you have your feet planted on the rock, that firm foundation, that foundation that when the wind blows, that you've built your house and you've built your house upon it, it can blow all at once. It will not blow your house down. If that's you, you should know, you probably more than likely know that the bare heights is all these churches and congregations and temples. And the people, like these donkeys in those churches, can't see because there was no grass. Where is it that we're fed the truth on? That mountain where there's green pasture, where there's grass. That's the instructions, the Torah, the truth. If you've been paying attention or trying to what's going on in the world today, you should know that the eyes of many have failed them because they haven't searched for truth. Their sons came back with those empty vessels. They don't know who the Creator, they don't know who He is. They don't know His name. They don't know right from wrong because they've been feeding at these bare heights where Baal is worshipped. You just saw there some of the pics I took when I went back and re-looked at Baal worship and who Baal is and some of his aliases. And if you've been here for a long time, you might be thinking, oh, here we go again on Baal. Yeah, it's like that. And I'm going to show you why. We're going to pause right there, verse 7. And we're going to go right here to this pic. This is something I've also beat the drums over several times. This is from Albert Pike's book, Morals and Dogma, that was written in 1871. And right down here, it says, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm. Which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery, and of the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against a world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization. When it says civilization, it means Baal worship, basically. It means you aren't pro-world order, the order of things. The world, they like their Christmas Saturnalia and their Ishtar. They like all these Baal, pagan, abominable celebrations and names. So when it's talking about will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, if you love the word and the Most High, that's you. And the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out into the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. Destroyed, they'll be destroyed because they have built their house on sand. This has all been planned out. The reason all that you see going on today, and we could talk about every subject, and if you look deep into the root of those of these problems that the world is facing today, you can trace that back to these people like Albert Pike, who wrote this book, like the enemy. And ultimately, though, like it will lead you to the Most High, like we were talking in the last video. The bit shoots that has to be set in order to catch predators and to sift out those who truly love him. All this stuff has to happen. But what you might not realize is everything you see, it is that formidable social cataclysm. Going back to Baal worship and the names and these holidays, all the stuff that's been Romanized, everything, it's part of it. I just saw a little bit ago that the Speaker of the House, McCarthy or whatever, came out and basically said that they're going to meet, that they're going to reach an agreement, and that the debt ceiling will be raised, so you don't have to worry about that. We basically knew that was going to happen. How many times have we went through this where we see it on the news and they get everybody afraid? But that's not going to stop the water from gushing in. This boat is sinking regardless of whether they raise the debt ceiling or not. There's $32 trillion in debt, and that's just what they tell you. The debt ceiling hasn't even been reached, and look at how many stores there are closing around the country. Look at all the chaos. Look at the homeless people, the drug addicts, everywhere you go. I'll tell you, a couple days ago, about a week or so ago, I was driving down through town, and I come to the downtown square area, and the courthouse and the sheriff's department was to my left. Big, nice building. And on the right, there was some kind of church, brick building of some kind. And there was a lady, decent looking lady, to my right in broad daylight at noontime, bent over, defecating right there on the grass. I mean, just right there. Bam, right in your face. I caught it, perfect timing. I didn't even see her. I looked to my left and seen the sheriff's department, and I just happened to look to my right, and there her rear end was, aimed right at me. Right 5 feet from the sidewalk. And why do you think that these people are doing these things? Because it's being allowed by the police. Here, I got another picture for you. These Christians and these civilized people, they back the badge. They love these police officers. How many videos, how many instances have you seen where police come up and just bully people? And I know from personal experience that this happens. I've seen it. It's happened to me. And before I knew my rights, they used to just steamroll me and scare me to death and get whatever they wanted. How many times have you seen this happen where these guys don't even know the law? They don't know the law. They'll come up, and they're even doing it now, even if the cameras are rolling. Do you think that that's just by accident that this is happening? Do you think that it's by accident that quote unquote law enforcers, police officers, don't know the first thing about the law that they claim to enforce? And they'll come up to you. You could be walking down the sidewalk, minding your own business. If they think they can come and harass you and take your ass to jail and get away with it, they're going to do it. Not 99.9% of them. And how is it that there's drug addicts like that woman sitting there across from the sheriff's office? She had no fear whatsoever to do what she was doing. How is it that these drug addicts, these people you see videos of, like San Francisco and Seattle, all these places where there's homeless encampments all up and down the sidewalks, and just needles and people taking craps and stuff all up and down, and the cops don't do nothing about it? It's the reason for that is the same reason you're seeing all this debt ceiling nonsense. The same reason you're seeing 2,000 Walmarts going out of business. You're seeing Target losing, $9 billion in a week over the rainbow stuff. Do you think that's on accident? Do you think that the CEOs of Target are that insane that they didn't just watch what happened to Bud Light? And not too long after that, they're going to come out and do the same thing. They knew they would lose all that money. This is according to plan. Everything you see is according to plan. And how many times have I told you too, it's not going back to normal. A lot of people like to say it's going back to normal. I just saw some news the last couple of days coming out of WUHAN to where there's a new X variant that they've had 25,000 cases in 1 week, and they said that by the end of June they expect it to be to 60 million cases per week. Do you think that's by accident? Look, you think these cops do this by accident? That they're acting this way by accident? Look, you see that right there? You see that? This is all by design, Mishpaka. By design. And like I was just going to say, if you think this is going back to normal, it's not. It's only going to increase. And everyone that's on the side of the tracks that are being fed by these wild donkeys whose eyes have failed them they're gonna, on everyone on that side of the tracks that serves Baal is going down that drain, that bit chute, into destruction. If you ain't on the other side of the tracks, the bit chute, the sift, the harvest of the set apart, if you ain't on that side, bye. And how do you get on that side? Well, what qualifications do those that are on that side of the tracks possess? Well, I'm going to tell you. The word's been telling you. We don't worship Baal. If we're doing something that we're uncertain of, and especially when other people are telling us it's Baal worship, we don't show them the bottom of our Nikes. We go and investigate, and we have a love for the truth, to when we find the truth, we stand on that truth. We bring the Baal worship to a screeching halt. That's the only way you're going to survive. I'm going to go back and look at some of them other pics of Tammuz, Zeus, and Baal and all this stuff. We're gonna read through that, and we're gonna get some revelations. I hope that you came tonight suited and booted, sleeves rolled up, knife and fork in hand, bib tucked in, ready to feast on the word. Why? Because your life and those you claim to love depends on it. Your lives depend on it. And like I was saying in the last video, they come out with this bill. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you this too. The bill that they passed, I don't know if they passed it or not, but they've presented it in the House. It's called, we'll go look at it, but it's called, the name of the bill is 4201. And that's not by accident, just like none of this other stuff is. We're in the last 42 months, the 1,290 days. That's why Gate 42, you've seen that in the news. Title 42. I told you about that movie, The Pledge. He went into the airport and he went to gate 42. This is all by design, Mishpaka. The reason I brought that up, I was telling you in the last video that they're making it, they're bringing about this formidable social cataclysm in order to make different multiple sides hate and fear one another, demonize one another. And it's the same reason that during the Holocaust, that the people that did that horrible act would mark people who were educated in the word with a black delta, an inverted triangle, the bottom of that star I just circled on that guy's chest. That's, if you are educated in the word, you are that minority that we were just reading about in Albert Pike's book. You are the target. You are the ones that they want to eradicate, because the only way they can bring their senile plan of Luciferianism out into the public view is if you are out the way. But if you ain't educated in the word, you are no problem to them. You're going to take yourself out. But that's the reason they passed that, because they're going to start clamping down. If it is true that we are in the last 42 months, that would mean we're in the last, if June of next year is the end, is the 1290 days, then that would mean we got about 12 months left. And that's not very long. You think that's a long time. That's not very long to get right with Abba Yahuwah, to get on the right side of the tracks. Verse 7, O Yahuwah, though our crookednesses witness against us. There you go. You see how everything comes? It fits. Abba knows all the right moves, and he says all the right things. You see how that happens? It don't get no better. You can't, there's nowhere else you can go that you can get such a formidable truth, such a formidable salvation than right here in his word. O Yahuwah, though our crookednesses witness against us, act for your name's sake. For our backslidings have been many, we have sinned against you. O expectation of Yasharal, its Savior in time of distress, why should you be like a stranger in the land, or like a traveler who turns aside to lodge? Why should you be as one who is stunned, as a mighty man that is unable to save? Yet you, O Yahuwah, are in our midst, and your name has been called on us. Do not leave us, those of us on this side of the tracks, who give him the utmost respect and reverence. We don't want to call him out of his name. We would rather die than call him Baal, or celebrate, have anything to do with Baal worship. Thus said Yahuwah to this people, so they have loved to wander to all kinds of Baals. They have not restrained their feet. Therefore Yahuwah has not accepted them. They're on the other side of them tracks. Now he does remember their crookedness and punish their sins. And Yahuwah said to me, see how this is why we got to repeat like a parrot. We got to sound like a broken record, because we aren't doing enough. We haven't done enough. Abba's still here. He needs all the praise, the glory, honor, and esteem that you can possibly give to him. And all this debauchery, all this crookedness and sin is still prevalent, and it has to come down. And if you are someone who wants to be on the right side of the fence, that means it's your duty to root out, pull down, and destroy. That means do your due diligent homework, get on your horn. If you don't have a horn, find one and get to work. Do not pray for this people for their good. And that's, look, I get flack all the time from people, quote unquote, Yasharal. People who swear they love Abba and stuff. And, you know, I see that I'm not doubting that they don't love Abba Yahuwah. But how is it that you can continue to give these people breaks and passes? These people who do him this way. You continue to pray for him. You'll get mad at me because I just said that. All I'm doing is repeating what he's told us. This is he's commanded us. Listen, Yahuwah said to me, do not pray for this people for their good. When they fast, I do not hear their cry. And when they offer ascending offering and grain offering, I do not accept them. Instead, I am consuming them by sword and by scarcity of food and by pestilence. All that is about the word, his word. That's how he's consuming them. That's this formidable social cataclysm that you see. That's because they've delighted in unrighteousness. They've willingly, like a whore, built their house on the sand. They didn't care to find out if they were building it on sand. They acted strictly out of lust and desire for their greedy gain. The truth and the love for it has been nowhere in their equation. But I said, Master Yahuwah, see, the prophets say to them, you are not to see a sword, nor have scarcity of food, for I give you true peace in this place. Sound familiar? Doesn't that sound like all these prosperity, all these Christians? They say peace, peace, even like these Yasharal. They say shalom, shalom. There is no peace. I'm guilty of that myself. We have to be preaching repentance. We have to be screaming from the mountaintops a screeching halt of Babylon, Baal worship. Then Yahuwah said to me, the prophets prophesy falsehood in my name. I have not sent them, nor commanded them, nor spoken to them. They are prophesying to you a false vision, worthless divination, and the deceit of their own heart. That's where it comes from. They won't. How many? And I'm not tooting my whistle here. Trust me. You should know I'm an epic dumbass of all epic dumbasses. Epicry on high. But how many people, whatever you want to call them, shepherds, pastors, prophets, priests, whatever. How many people do you see or have you heard out there that read context, baby? That read the word from start to finish? That gets every single word, that over and over tells you every word is of the utmost necessity. And not me, Abba does. Abba tells us to read his word like that. That's the reason that these prophets, their eyes have failed them. They haven't put themselves on the green pasture. That's that mountain of Yahuwah. That's his word, his instructions, his Torah. They haven't given no reverence, no respect, no love for him. But yet they tell these people, they lead these people astray. with worthless divination and the deceit of their own heart. Therefore thus said Yahuwah concerning the prophets who prophesy in my name, whom I did not send, and who say, sword and scarcity of food shall not be in this land. By sword and scarcity of food, those prophets shall be consumed. That's how you identify them right there. Are they telling you, there's no scarcity of food here? We preach the word of God, you already know. And they're not. That's how you know who he's talking about right there. That's how you know who to stay away from. And that's how you know where to run to. And that's to the word of Abba Yahuwah, the Most High, our wonderful Creator. Face down. Because that's the only cistern full of water. That's the only healing, the only salvation you are going to find. This social cataclysm, it's not going to get better. They might make you think that, like they are right now, since the little events happen there. But it's only going to get worse. And the people to whom they are prophesying shall be thrown out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the scarcity of food and the sword. Right there, the people to whom they are prophesying, these people that they're telling this to, they're going to be thrown out. They're going to be just like we just read in Albert Pike's book. Well, let's look at that real quick. This is what's going to happen to you if you don't get on the right side of tracks, if you don't build your house on that rock. This is what's going to happen. Disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits, and deism means that you've based your faith with no law, no structure, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction. When the rapture don't happen, and they learn that Jesus isn't his name, and that they shouldn't have been calling him that, and they shouldn't have been calling the Most High Lord and God, they're going to say, well, our whole faith's a lie. This is all fake. It's all a lie. There'll be no faith left in them. Satan will come in, snatch their ass right up. They'll go with whatever, whoever looks good at that moment. That's where they're going to go. They'll be thrown out in the streets, Mishpachah. Because of the scarcity of food and the sword, with no one to bury them nor their wives, their sons nor their daughters, for I shall pour their evil on them. And you shall say this word to them, let my eyes flow with tears night and day, and let them not cease, for the maiden daughter of my people has been crushed with a mighty blow, with a very severe wound, an open, festering wound. That there is a salvation for it. There is a healing, but they want nothing to do with it. They can't even see that they have that wound. They think their you know what don't stink, don't they? If I go out to the field, then see those slain with the sword. And if I enter the city, then see those sick from scarcity of food. For both prophet and priest go about in a land they do not know, those dark mountains. Have you completely rejected Yehuda? Has your being low, Zion? Why have you stricken us so that there is no healing for us? We looked for peace, but there was no good, and for the time of healing, but see, fear. O Yahuwah, we know our wrong and the crookedness of our fathers, for we have sinned against you. Do not scorn us for your name's sake. Do not despise the throne of your esteem. Remember, do not break your covenant with us. Are there among the worthless idols of the nations any cause and rain? And do the heavens give showers? All that solar sun worship crap? No, are you not he, O Yahuwah, our mighty most high? And we wait for you are the one who does all this. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 15. I'm not going to read all of this. We're going to come back to it the next time, Abba willing, and get 15, because I want to read some Revelations chapter 14 to you real quick. Being how we're talking about the tracks and which side you need to be on and which side you are on. Right here, Jeremiah 15 verse 1, and Yahuwah said to me, even if Moses and Samuel were to stand before me, my being is not toward this people. Send them away from my presence. Let them go. All those on the other side of the tracks. It don't matter what preacher, whose church you attend. What are you doing? And it shall be when they say to you, where do we go? When they're disillusioned and they've got no compass. Then you shall say to them, thus said Yahuwah, those for death, to death, those for the sword, to the sword, and those for scarcity of food, to scarcity of food, and those for captivity, to captivity. And I shall appoint over them 4 kinds, declares Yahuwah, the sword to kill, the dogs to drag, the birds of the heaven, and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. That's where you're going to be if you're on that side of the tracks. And let's see what Revelations 14 says about which side of the tracks you're on. Verse 1, and I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Sion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written upon their foreheads. And I heard a voice out of the heaven, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne, and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn the song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. Here you go. This is how you know whether, what side of tracks you're standing on. They... the 144,000 are those who were not defiled with women. Okay, let's break this down. You should know, if you love the truth, that this ain't talking about a man sleeping with a woman. We've been reading about the daughters of Zion, the churches, the women. Do you think Abba would make it that if you slept with a woman, now you're defiled? Absolutely not. He made sex for us to procreate. He made it pleasurable for us to enjoy it. Yes. How could you be defiled? If you stay on that side of the tracks with that whore of Babylon, if you stay there till your end, you will have been defiled. For they are maidens. They are those 5 wise virgins who have trimmed their lamps and they're waiting for the bridegroom. They're not married to any denomination. They're not devoted to any sect or congregation or temple or abominable names. They don't partake in pagan Babylonian nonsense. They're married to the Messiah, to the truth. Why? Right here. They are those following the Lamb, the truth, wherever he leads them on, regardless of the consequences. They're ready to drink his blood. That's what that means. These people who have no eyes, their eyes have failed them. How many times have I said this? When they hear or think about drinking his blood, they picture some satanic image in their mind, like Carrie, the movie Carrie, where they're standing there coated in blood. That's how blinded they are. The Most High would never want you to even consider, just for a second, such nonsense. It's all a parable. It's all a metaphor. This is not literal. They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to the Most High and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no falsehood, which makes them blameless before the throne of the Most High. And that doesn't mean that you're going to have everything 100% correct. But you ain't distributing falsehood. You ain't preaching, pushing out over the airwaves on your horn falsehood. You ain't showing us the bottom of your Nikes. You don't stop by people speaking the truth to put your 2 worthless cents in when you don't even know what you're talking about. Your ass from a hole in the ground. This is people who are preaching, speaking the truth. They're fulfilling their duty to speak the truth, to esteem the Most High. And I saw another messenger flying in mid-heaven, holding the everlasting good news, the gospel, to announce to those dwelling on the earth, even to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. Here's the gospel right here. Your eyes might have failed you and you don't know what the gospel is. Open them. Turn your ears on and listen right here. This is the everlasting good news, saying with a loud voice, fear the Most High and give esteem to him, not Baal. It doesn't matter if you think that it doesn't matter what you think. If you're esteeming Baal, you're esteeming Baal, whether you know it or not. Just makes you even more of an epic dumbass, doesn't it? If you don't know. Because the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made the heaven and the earth and sea and fountains of water and truth. You see that? That's how you know what side of the tracks you stand on. Give esteem to him now. Get on your face right now. Get on your horn right now. Hold nothing back. And what I was wanting to tell you earlier about that bill that they're passing. Don't let that fear you. We read in Matthew chapter 24, the Messiah said, they're going to drag you away to prison for his name's sake and kill you. Don't let that deter you, Mishpachah. Be tight, yeah? Be careful. Don't be on here just saying all manner of crazy stuff. You should be speaking the truth, which is love, which is the word of the Most High. And if they kill you for that, hallelujah, you're going to get the greatest of all rewards. If you don't, if you fear man, if you're afraid of how your reputation or your pocketbook's going to take a hit from the things you confess, I have to tell you, bye-bye. There's only 2 sides of the track. There's not three. You're either on the side with all that's about to be destroyed, or you're on the side of Abba Yahuwah and his son Yahusha, the Messiah, truth. And you don't get to define the track. It doesn't matter if you don't like it or not. Abba is the one who defines what side, which side is which. You best be on the right side. Get on it now. Bring that Babylon in Egypt nonsense to a screeching halt. Make a call for a lamentation. There is no peace right now. You should be like the Most High, weeping, mourning the destruction of his people. And you should definitely not be a part of that destruction. And if you are, you're going to have hell to pay. Till next time, Mishpachah, face down, suited and booted, giving all praise, all honor, all glory, and all esteem to the one and only Abba Yahuwah, the Most High, our wonderful Creator, and his Son, Yahusha, the Lamb. Right now.